Hello to everyone and the internet. It is currently Friday, December 28th. I am Nathan of Washington. You are watching The Young Globalist, and this is the news. Alright. Russia to fight for a Palestinian state. So apparently Russia's being a bully state too, huh? Just like us. The American bully state, now there's a Russian bully state. Just muscling about in the Middle East, interfering in things that don't concern us. Classic. Mind you, here's the thing. We're worse, because when we created Israel, we were opening a very dangerous socio-political Pandora's box. And to those of you who don't know, yes, the modern state of Israel is United States UN-backed creation. It is not the original or real Israel in any sense. But we were opening a Pandora's box. We were assuming that the Palestinians and Jews would get along, but no. And Russia could very well be making the situation even worse by throwing their weight around. Bottom line, though, is Russia can do whatever Russia wants to do. But we're not going to take shit if Russia starts to threaten us with their newfound global power. If they start deciding to get cocky and threaten us, we're not going to back down. Hell no, we're not going to back down. Bottom line is, Russia could easily be making things worse over there. Well, we'll see what happens in the coming months. 9/11 may in fact be proved to be a controlled demolition, as the grand jury actually seems to think. They're reviewing the evidence, and we could get a ruling that 9/11 was in fact a controlled demolition, which would mean a false flag attempt. A false flag attack in order to justify an attack in Iraq. A grand jury investigating the 9/11 attacks will be shown evidence that the Twin Towers were dropped down by controlled demolition for the first time. This is an article, by the way. On April 10, 2018, the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry submitted a legal petition to the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York for a grand jury to examine the evidence for the destruction of the World Trade Center buildings. The 52-page petition states, the Lawyers Committee has reviewed the relevant available evidence and has reached a consensus that there is not just substantial or persuasive evidence of yet-to-be prosecuted crimes related to the use of pre-planted explosives and/or incendiaries to destroy WTC-1, WTC-2, and WTC-7 in New York City on 9/11. But there is actually conclusive evidence that such federal crimes were committed. The Lawyers Committee states unequivocally that the evidence permits no other conclusion as a matter of science, as a matter of logic, and as a matter of law. PaulCraigRoberts.org reports what transpired last month is without question the greatest step forward the 9/11 truth movement has ever taken toward bringing about a real investigation of the events of September 11, 2001. In a letter dated November 7, 2018, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York notified the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry that he would comply with the provisions of 18 U.S.C. 3332, requiring him to present to a special grand jury the Lawyers Committee's reports filed earlier this year of unprosecuted federal crimes at the World Trade Center. This means a 23-member grand jury vested with subpoena power and authority to take sworn testimony will hear the voluminous evidence of the World Trade Center's demolition, and will have the ability to conduct a thorough investigation that results in indictments against suspected individuals. In other words, that the 9/11 Truth Movement has been working toward for 17 years. Rather than simply crossing our fingers and hoping for the best, this real and time-sensitive opportunity to achieve our ultimate goal demands that we do everything in our power to ensure a thorough and successful grand jury investigation. Because the U.S. Attorney is legally required to share all evidentiary filings made by the Lawyers Committee, including any future submissions, there are several measures the Lawyers Committee and AE 9/11 Truth can and must take to bolster the evidence. increase the likelihood that key experts and eyewitnesses will be asked to testify and further assist the jurors' investigation. From now through December 31st, we humbly ask for your support, so we can do everything possible in the months ahead to make this grand jury proceeding a real investigation. Please visit ae911truth.org grand jury to learn more and make a generous year-end donation. Today, together we can force the first real 9/11 investigation. I always found it pretty suspicious that any past investigations of 9/11 were kind of shallow and came up with almost nothing. Probably because they had an agenda to facilitate? My theory is that it's a false flag attack. That our government did that to justify a war in Iraq. I mean, it's hard to accept, even for me, that our government could be that messed up. But, yeah, it is that messed up. The evidence would highly indicate that to be the case. Of course, we don't really know yet. The grand jury has yet to make a ruling. We'll see what happens. But I'll bet you anything. My opinion is that they're going to find that it was a controlled demolition. Just you wait and see. A UK villager who raped 2 children, 1 girl and 1 boy, was recently let out after only 3 weeks. 3 weeks for what should have been a year-long prison sentence. For something he did when he was about 13. He was held for a while and then put a year in prison while he was 18. You know, standard procedure. But they decided he was going to be too vulnerable behind bars. Yeah, so put him in a different facility or put him somewhere. Just don't let him out. The parents had to go back and explain to their kids that the guy was let out and they could end up seeing him again in their own village. They can't even walk the streets of their own village without feeling unsafe because this guy could be out there. And they took the kids separately at different times so they wouldn't be able to corroborate with one another and mutually point the finger at him. The guy was very meticulous and well planned in his attack on these, poor innocent kids. He should be behind bars, but they let him out. Everything about the UK government of late just makes me absolutely sick to my stomach. Kazakhstan to chemically castrate 2,000 pedophiles. Nursultan Nazarbayev, that is the current president of Kazakhstan, proposed this as a solution to an increase in child sex crimes in his country. Now, many people are arguing against this as a possible human rights violation, even suggesting that it might not do anything, since chemical castration is largely temporary. But at least he's trying something. They provide no alternatives, no alternative solutions. Who's to honestly say that this won't actually work until someone tries it? I say give Nursultan Nazarbayev a chance. Let's see if it works. It's not like they've been able to provide any reasonable alternatives. Rudy Giuliani says that Mueller should be investigated for destroying evidence. There's an article on this. Oh wait, I thought I had that saved to my tabs. I guess I have to go look for it. All right, folks, I found it. Rudy Giuliani has called for a criminal investigation into Robert Mueller for deliberately destroying FBI evidence that would expose the Russia probe as a complete hoax. In an interview with Hill.tv this week, Giuliani accused the special counsel's office of destroying evidence by allowing text messages from disgraced FBI official Peter Strzok and his lover Lisa Page to be erased in the Russian probe. The Hill.com reports Mueller should be investigated for destruction of evidence for allowing those text messages from Strzok to be erased. Messages that would show the state of mind and tactics of his lead anti-Trump FBI agent at the start of his probe, Giuliani said. The Justice Department Inspector General, IG, reported this month that it found large gaps in the preservation of official government text messages between Strzok and Page. The two top FBI agents who helped to start the Russia probe in 2016 were having an affair at the time and who expressed disdain for Trump. The report said a technical glitch was to blame for the FBI's failure to save those text messages. But the IG was able to cover more than 19,000 from the early part of the Russia probe before Mueller was named special prosecutor. However, the IG said it was unable to recover messages from the time Strzok and Page worked for Mueller's office in spring and summer 2017 because the memories of both the FBI officials' government phones were wiped clean by technicians. That erasure occurred after Strzok and Page left Mueller's team over revelations they exchanged anti-Trump text messages, including one string in which they talked about stopping Trump from becoming president. That should be investigated, damn it. That should be investigated fully. You want a special counsel? Get one for that, Giuliani said. When pressed about whether he thought the erasure was intentional and not just a mistake, Giuliani alluded to the infamous erasure of a Watergate tape by President Nixon's loyal secretary a half-century earlier. It's actually worse than Rosemary Woods, he explained. She erased less than 19 minutes of conversation, but the FBI got rid of more than 19,000 messages. And the messages from the time Strzok and Page worked for Mueller are lost forever. Giuliani said the Russia probe investigators also should be investigated for using the Christopher Steele dossier, which he called a piece of garbage to justify a search warrant on a Trump advisor without telling the court it was paid for by 2016 presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's campaign and Democratic Party. Do I think that is improper? Yeah. That sounds to me a lot more like a false statement than some of the ones they charged, he said, referring to Mueller's team. The former New York City, Maine Republican presidential candidate who joined Trump's defense team in 2018 sharply criticized Mueller's team for allowing what he said were false statements by former Trump attorney Michael Cohen at Cohen's sentencing a few weeks ago. He just lied the other day. He told the judge, "I was fiercely loyal to Donald Trump." No, he wasn't. He taped him surreptitiously while he was fiercely loyal. He hid it, and he disclosed it. The Mueller prosecutor's failure to stand up during the sentencing and correct Cohen's statement is unethical in and of itself. Making a false statement to court, even a lawyer, you have to correct it, Giuliani said. Giuliani said he is disturbed that the one Cohen tape that has surfaced in which Cohen and Trump discussed making payments to two women accusers during the 2016 campaign inexplicably cuts off midway through the conversation. Very suspicious. Giuliani said he believes the missing sections of the conversation include exculpatory statements that would prove the president was innocent. Well, yes, he believes. Good thing he didn't claim for absolutely certain that he knew that. Giuliani expressed hope that the Mueller investigation would end soon. Now that Trump has submitted written answers to prosecutors' questions, he remains confident there is no evidence the president colluded with Russia to hijack the 2016 presidential election. Giuliani said that if prosecutors requested additional written answers from Trump, his advice would be for the president not to provide more information to Mueller. They have everything that they need unless they just want to set a perjury trap. He said Mueller's current focus on whether Trump friends such as Roger Stone were communicating with WikiLeaks outside the campaign about hacked Hillary Clinton emails shows just how far astray the probe had gone. We are now 4 degrees of separation from the original mandate of the investigation, which was collusion, which did not occur. When asked whether Mueller should be the last special prosecutor ever appointed by the Justice Department, Giuliani hedged, "I never like to say never, but I must say I have great pause after seeing the abuses in this investigation." The FBI, he added, still needs to rehabilitate itself from the damage done by missteps in the Russia probe. Giuliani said he believed that 99% of the FBI agents were doing a great job, but that a small group of FBI politicians had improperly hijacked the Russia probe during FBI fired Director James Comey's tenure. Giuliani said he is uncertain if President Trump's pick to head the FBI Director Christopher Wray could help right the wrongs in the Russia probe. "I'm certain because I haven't heard anything from him. The first way you fix problems is by acknowledging them. As for Mueller, Giuliani made it clear he intends to fight back on every remaining move the special prosecutor makes. The Trump defense team already has drafted a robust document to counter any information Mueller sends to the Justice Department in his final report. And there's nothing the defense team is leaving without rebuttal, apparently. For example, Giuliani said it is ironic that after investigating Trump for possible obstruction because Trump once suggested the FBI consider going easy on former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, Mueller himself asked a federal judge to go easy on Flynn by awarding no prison time. Maybe Mueller needs to investigate himself for obstruction on Flynn like he did my client, the former mayor said wryly. He was joking on that one, but don't expect any laughs on the disappearance of the Sturzock text messages or foreign intelligence surveillance act abuses on other issues. America's mayor is all business. So in short, there's good reason to believe that the Mueller probe is complete bullshit. They did appear to destroy evidence. That seems very clear. Plus, the fact that Sturzock and his girlfriend Paige had obvious anti-Trump leanings. Conflict of interest much? Bottom line is, the probe is probably bullshit. Probably always was. Just butthurt that they didn't get the person they wanted in office. I feel validated in my evaluation of that. I feel completely validated. It was always just Democratic butthurt and never was anything else. Sore losers. And for our final story today, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is an idiot who obviously never read the Jesus story in the Bible. And she wants to be in Congress. Comparing Jesus to immigrants. But Jesus wasn't an immigrant. His parents were being sent back to Joseph's place of birth for a census. That is not even remotely the same thing as immigration. And even if it were, that was a very weak platform to go on. Someone who's this shallow in their thinking, and someone who had to take a psych break, wants to be in Congress. I've said it before, I'll say it again. My generation, the millennial generation, will never offer any meaningful or well-suited politicians. The only politicians my generation will offer will all be garbage. They will be unqualified. They will either want socialism or will be too cowardly to stand up for their own positions. Anyway, that's it for the Young Globalist today, folks. I'm out.